three key themes for success and abundance and vitality and just living a really fulfilled life on purpose for the next 6 months and right into 2022. When I was sitting in meditation last night, my guides were very present, and they wanted me to share this with you as a way to support you in really anchoring in these new energies, and to be really focused in the aligned actions that you are going to need to take. And at the end, I'm going to give you couple of my ideas on how you can really support your body into bringing what you're envisioning through these three key themes into physical actualization. And as we approach the full moon in Capricorn, the main part of really being able to release these old illusions of control and detrimental patterning that's been embedded and programmed and manipulated and into us through our ancestors, but also probably through intergenerational familial trauma, is the healing of the father, of the masculine, and to really forgive and stop this constant seeking of external validation through success or material status, or anything in the physical that is very much around that old patriarchal system of misabuse of power. And I know that it's no surprise when we look at, we've just come through solstice and Father's Day, that this is very much in the collective consciousness of the work that we're doing and what we must continue to do if we're going to really get aligned to our internal GPS, to really trust our intuition, and use these three themes as anchors in all areas of your life and your living and your business and your body and your relationships. So before I start to give these to you, I just want to ask you how you're really doing, truthfully, if you're honest with yourself, how are you doing right now? And just allow yourself to really feel that in your body. Notice where perhaps there's tension, or you're holding, or there's some kind of thought coming up. And I invite you to just witness, be witness in a kind, compassionate way to that voice that may be very fearful or very uncertain or unclear right now, because we're releasing so many of these old patterns and programs. And when we can start to notice our old thoughts, remember our reticular activating system, that little part in our brain that really filters information for us and is very prone to the negativity bias, it's going to really push back a lot as you listen and you feel these themes and these words that we're going to be using to anchor into being, and just notice what comes up in your body. Let it be there, and know that when you give it attention, it can quiet itself down, and then we can start to practice a new thought and a new way of being. And perhaps it just starts with, is it true? The work of Katie Byron, is this true? And see what happens, because we've been living with dysregulated nervous systems and survival patterns of adaptation for so long. And this past year of this sort of unseen threat has really triggered a lot of anxiety and depression in the collective, and probably in all of us. It's affected us in a big way. And my clients that I've been speaking to, there's a lot that has to still be grieved through. So give grief a sound. let it move you, and don't rush it. Grief cannot be rushed, just like any of the other emotions. They're all there to, just like our shadows and our blind spots, to bring our attention to what we are being called to repair. So be gentle with yourself. So the first anchor for you is innovation, which is really no surprise for us light givers that have been doing this work for a long time. For those of you that may just be waking up to a new possibility, and to the collapse of so many things like climate and fiduciary systems and old relationships and the way of doing business, we are all seeking and are intrinsically woven in this thread of innovation, of how do we create from a heart-led place, from our hearts rather than our heads. And if you are finding yourself in a place where perhaps your resources are a little scarce right now, and that's triggering a lot of anxiety for you, this is a call for us to be resourceful, which for me is just another energetic frequency of what innovation is. That when the old outdated models no longer work, we have to find new ways of creating and how we're living, in the ways that we're living, in the ways that we're consuming, in where we're putting our buying power and our time and our attention into what we're wanting to co-create. And this means we need to adjust our habits. And I spoke about habits the other day as again, being a way of moving from the old ways that are no longer working, and bringing in, calling in your energetic team, your spirit guides, your team players, as I call it, in the unseen realms, as well as collaborating, right? Creating and connecting with people that are aligned with a unified vision. We really have to have a holistic view of this, and really go dynamic in that if we're going to affect change. So look at how we can raise consciousness and do right relationship and do better, and look at, are my actions aligned in my purpose driven mission and in what I'm wanting and what I'm calling in. And it's important, if we're going to innovate, that we need to get very, very clear, which requires a certain amount of vulnerability and an incredible amount of honesty to look at what is it that we really want, and why, what's the driving force behind that. And to also know that when we start to challenge the status quo, there's going to be pushback, and there is going to be grief for what no longer is, whether we don't want it or not. I know for many of us, we've been asking for a long time, when are things going to change, that we cannot sustain the way that we are. We can't do business from an old misabuse of power of the masculine. So remember, coming back to this overarching theme, that we are being called to heal the father wound, the death father, and to look at the archetypes that we have around what it means to be in our masculine as women and men. How are we using our talents and capacities from a place of kindness, and asking what would love do here? Because we are together. We're doing this, we are destroying and uncreating all the lies and the lines and the manipulations that are surfacing. And we are already in that creation. Just because it's below the surface doesn't mean that nothing is happening. So if you're finding that you feel like you're taking one step forward and two step backs right now, lean into patience. Check out the other holy shift on patience. There's some great ideas in there on how to really have compassionate inquiry and learning patience. It's one of my big soul urges in this lifetime, is to learn to be patient and to trust that even though I cannot see things, it doesn't mean that they are not growing and multiplying below the surface, so that when the timing is ready, so divine timing is important in this way, so that we can find new ways and we can start to heal. So use the tools. Make sure that you are using titration, which in neuroplastic terms just means that you don't take on more than your body and your nervous system can handle at one time. And as I always talk of, these holy shifts are small incremental changes that you can do inch by inch, because we don't want to overwhelm our already dysregulated nervous systems by taking on too much. This is why we always fall back into old habits. So use titration, and as your nervous system builds in its capacity to hold more space, then you can add a new habit and you can start innovating and go deeper and wider on whatever it is that you're bringing through. Orient yourself often when you're in that state of creating heaven on earth, when you're bringing in new ideas and concepts that haven't been tested yet, because you're co-creating something new. It's very easy to sort of blow your circuits on your nervous system and check out again, because it just feels like it's too overwhelming and it's too much. So being able to orient yourself to the room that you're sitting in right now, to notice things, to be very present with your body just by rubbing your hands together or doing some vagal tone humming, grounding yourself, earthing yourself, getting your feet out into the earth will all help you to orient yourself to, in this moment, I am safe, I am connected, I am supported, I have everything that I need, all my needs are met. You can get back into that state of co-creation and innovation, and to just be very, very aware of things that are going to trigger you, including your own critter brain, who just wants you to be safe and wants you to stay in a place of predictability and sameness. So be aware of those generative questions that you can ask when you feel anxiety coming up, especially in the innovation stage, of anchoring that in with questions like, is this anxiety or is this excitement? Because the kidneys and the adrenal glands and your nervous system, there's a very subtle difference between excitement and fear. It's generated by kidney chi, your vital life force chi, and it can be very difficult to discern if you've lived with anxiety or you have been sort of identifying that sort of excitement or the butterflies in your stomach or a sense of agitation as something that's wrong, rather than seeing it as a rightness. So remember that when you're going forward, that you're safe. And use some of the tools to down-regulate your nervous system if you feel like you're kind of getting overly excited, to just come down and ground yourself through the breath. Do a couple of rounds of breathing, just to calm your nervous system down. The second one is intuition. And this is something that I always say to my clients who come to me for animal communication, or they want to learn how to Gestalt track, or they really just want to increase their trust in their body's own innate intelligence, is that it's a muscle. And the more that you use it, the stronger it will get. So practice receiving energetic support from the higher realms and from spirit, and use grounding techniques like I said, using the vagal tone, or just earthing yourself into the ground so that you can receive these energetic downloads and be open to the synchronicity and the divine timing of everything. ask, is it time? A lot of the time, what you're going to be innovating and the ideas that you're going to be sparked and the downloads that you're going to receive, the world may not be ready for it yet. And this is one that I learned to be patient with many, many years ago, because everyone said, oh, nobody's ready for that, whether it was the way that I used to exhibit furniture on trade shows when I was making bespoke solid wood furniture, and I'd want to hang my furniture from sky hooks so that people could see the beautiful craftsmanship, that the underneath was as beautiful as the top. People weren't ready for that yet. Now it's sort of become commonplace, but 20 years ago it was too far out there. So a lot of the times the concepts and the downloads that you will receive are for you. So just remember, all for you, all for fun. Don't tell anyone until you are aligned and you feel like that there is this opening or this expansion, that now is the time to share this in the world. And just remember, not everything is for now. So as your extrasensory perceptions start to accelerate, and they are for a lot of people that have been working with intuition and their psychic capacity for a while, there's this massive surge of energy. So again, I often see it as like, I will put, like, how the electricity, lightning will strike the ground, and oftentimes you'll have like a lightning rod to sort of capture the energy and dissipate it over onto the ground. See your energy circuits, your big board in your head, as lighting up all the time with all these bits of information that you're receiving. And sometimes it's necessary for you to actually ask the energy to slow down so that it doesn't fry your circuit board, and that includes electronic devices. I have fried a couple of computers. I used to drain my battery out of my phone. Within 5 minutes of charging it, it was dead. So just remember that you can choose, just by asking, to set up those sort of little, I don't even know what to call them, but like little power stations that can hold the energy and channel it through, so that you don't blow out your circuits, you don't destroy your computers and electronics, and also that you don't blow people's minds and then they can't hear you or receive the information. So just be open, use intuition, strengthen your muscle so that you can be a very clear, open receiver, just like a radio station. Tune your frequency high, and be okay. Be okay to not know what you don't know. That the power of choice is yours, and that we don't need to know the how. Right? We don't need to know the how. That will come through if you are actively staying open and asking for energetic support from spirit. The third one is integration. So it's kind of all the I's today in that I am, right? I am the God within. I am sovereign. I am sovereign being. I am choice. I am co-creator. I am powerful. Think of all the I am statements, because this is very much about individuation that can only happen when we sort of go holographic on this. And integration is really important. If you're innovating, if you're using your intuition, if you're anchoring yourself in to the ground, you realize that you are an active participant that is willingly supporting creating heaven on earth, right? That beautiful 8 infinity sign of as above as below, and an abundance sign. That's a really good one to put into your wallet. Write the number 8, stick it into your wallet right next to your $100 bill, and know that you are a very resourceful, co-creating, regenerating machine. There is no space for lack or abundance, lack of abundance there. And we need integration. We need the power of the pause. We need to slow down and be patient and follow the natural impulses of our body. I always say this: go at the pace of your body, which often needs to catch up to your etheric and your catheric and your other bodies and your heads and your countenances and your endeavors, and your cells, because there's cellular regenesis that is happening faster than the speed of light all the time. Every proton and atom and quark and soliton are working in this beautiful, innovative way of cooperation. And we are repairing right now on a cellular level as our genetic code has been changing, as our DNA, RNA, LNA is being replaced with healthy DNA, RNA, LNA. The old genetic code is being replaced with healthy genetic code. And it can often look like a healing crisis, or a setback. So just know that your emotional healing can look like volatility. It can look like agitation. It can come up as anger. So remember, in that integration phase that is constantly ongoing, and like all the other things that we're practicing, it is a practice. This is what mastery is. Every new level is a new devil, and it doesn't have to be a negative, right? Every new level brings another level. And that's just part of learning to live into our soul desire, into our soul contract, and our abundance codes. Our genetic blueprint that is written in Akashic record was designed for this, but we forget. So remember, anger is one of the most powerful frequencies that we can use when we're using it as a potency to move obstacles out of our way, to have healthy boundaries, to stand in our truth. So when anger comes up, don't automatically, based on your survival patterns, if you had a volatile father, that you needed to play small or hide or not speak your truth in order to stay safe. Keep working on that. Keep working on that. Know that you're safe and that it's time that you stand sovereign in your truth as you do this integration, and use the anger in a healthy way. It may feel very uncomfortable for you if you've kind of avoided anger or confrontation in your life for a long time. I know I used to really hate confrontation, because it used to bring up all that terror in me, of the aggression and the sort of volatility of rage that you often see when you're in a narcissistic relationship. So be gentle with yourself, because you're learning a new language of connection, and it can feel very unfamiliar and uncomfortable. So that's it. Innovate, intuition, and integration, and the sort of all-encompassing soul prayer, if you'd like, to really spend some time speaking to your own inner father, to the death father, to your own father, whether that's your birth father or the fathers that have grown you up in your life, and really see what's ready to be healed there. Because doing that is the greatest service that you can do in the collective healing. So I hope that you got some value out of this. If there is anything that you'd like to ask, if you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. I read every single one of them. And if you're liking these daily holy shifts, please like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. It really helps me to get the algorithm to send these out to more people that are finding their way in a brave new world. So I really appreciate your time, your energy, for being on this journey with me. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right. Take care, everybody. Lots of love.